trying to get off the bench and do some other things.
Okay.
All right, so I'm yours and you tell me how you want to start.
Okay, well, I will do a brief introduction and then we will begin. Again, good afternoon. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Today is Thursday, February 29th, 2024, and this is PACO's February session of Legal Insights. Today we are welcoming Cuyahoga County Common Pleas Court Judge Deborah Turner. She was elected to the bench on November 6th of 2018 rather, and joined 33 other judges responsible for presiding over criminal felony matters and civil matters involving damages over $15,000. She began a new term January 14th, 2023, which will end on January 14th, 2029. Prior to becoming a judge, Judge Turner practiced law for 19 years in family law, probate, and criminal law. She also served as the prosecutor and assistant law director for both the cities of Bedford Heights and Warrensville Heights. Her judicial experience includes serving as a magistrate in both Cuyahoga County Juvenile Court and Bedford Municipal Court. As a former educator, Judge Turner taught in both the Cleveland Heights and Warrensville Heights school districts. A native Clevelander, she's a proud graduate of John Adams High School on the city's east side. She holds a Bachelor of Arts in History and Masters of Education from Cleveland State University and a Juris Doctor from the Cleveland Marshall College of Law. She is an active member of the Black Women's Political Action Committee and the National Council of Negro Women, Western Reserve Section. She's also active in her church, and that service includes as a Sunday school teacher, trustee, youth director, and choir member. She currently is a member of the Rome Missionary Baptist Church, where her husband serves as an associate minister. She is also has 4 children and 6 grandchildren. Welcome, Judge Turner. We thank you so much for being with us today, and we look forward to what you have to say to us.
Thank you so much for the invitation. I guess I have to thank Patrice Gibbons. Patrice is a relative, and she came to me and she said, "Will you be our speaker?" And I'm like, okay, let's see how this works. I speak all the time. I think this is about the 6th engagement I have, and I have 2 engagements tomorrow. And it is always my pleasure and my honor to do so. I was thinking about what could I say to this particular group? And I thought that I'm going to kind of I had a couple of thoughts. Number one, it is Black History Month. And I am a Black judge sitting on the Court of Common Pleas bench. And tomorrow is Women's History Month. And I am a woman. And what I found is, in terms of percentage, the majority of paralegals seem to be women as well, just in terms of numbers. And so I'm going to look at both. I said that I was going to share with you a view from the bench. So how did I get to be in a position that I could present to you as a view from the bench? And I think it works also with regards to encouragement. As you look at where you are in different things you may even aspire to do, that it gives you some encouragement that even though sometimes things, they look kind of bleak, they may look a little difficult, that never, ever doubt yourselves. I found something about women that's really special. We're used to carrying a heavier load. Men have their responsibilities, but it seems like women have something heavier that they tend to have on their shoulders. You know, if there's a family member who's ill, we may have the male helping, but who do we look to shoulder most of that responsibility? We look to the women. And there's something about women that that kind of garners that support. How did I get to the point where I can share a view from the bench? I'm a poor kid from the projects in Cleveland. They called it Morris Black. Raised by a single divorced mother. Not much hope, not much aspirations. I'm the first person in my family to graduate from high school. I didn't say college, although I hold a bachelor's, a master's, and a law degree. I said high school. My mom dropped out in the 11th grade, my dad dropped out in the 12th grade, and my older sister subsequently would drop out in the 10th grade. School for me, like maybe some of you, was my safe haven. School is where I got support. School is where people poured into me. People told me I was smart, although I didn't believe that within myself. And I find in whatever occupation that you find yourself in, you have to believe in yourself. When you undergo whatever that path is, you have to believe in yourself. When you find yourself in a law office or a courtroom, you have to believe in yourself, in your ability to accomplish whatever may be before you. So I was not encouraged to go to college. I was encouraged as the first person to have a high school degree, a diploma, to actually go downtown and obtain a job with the local telephone company. I don't know how old many of you are. Some of you may realize that, as some would say back in the day, those were good jobs to work with the phone company. They had good benefits and you could progress and become a supervisor. So for me to hold that high school diploma, that was what I was encouraged to do. And we find for ourselves that those become hurdles when you don't have family support and you don't have financial support. So my mom didn't want to burst my bubble. And she said, you go doing that because I know you can do that. But we don't have money for college. And I don't understand who's been filling your head with this idea about college. In law school? So at 12 years old is when the idea of even going to law school came to my head. I'd never seen a lawyer, didn't know what lawyers did. But my mother owned a restaurant in the city of Cleveland. And something happened in that restaurant and she was arrested. And when she was arrested, the building that I work in now didn't exist. The jail was down on Payne in Cleveland. And my grandmother had hired a gentleman who was a lawyer known in Cleveland as the street lawyer. His name was Stanley Tolliver. And he picked my sister and I up on a Saturday morning. He took us down to 13th and Payne. And there was a cafe on the corner. And he took us in there, ordered us some breakfast. He said, you all stay here. I'm going to go across the street and I'm going to see your mom. And when he returned, he took my sister and I out on the corner. He had us look up at the building and there were bars over the window. And he said, if you look up, you'll see your mom's hand and she's waving to you. And she can see all of you, but all you can see is the hand, which was true. He said, but if the justice system works, I'm bringing your mom home. A few days later, my mom came home to my sister and I. We hung on like there was no tomorrow because she was all we had. And on that day at 12 years old, I decided I wanted to be a lawyer because I saw someone who looked like me, who had helped my family, and I desired to be a lawyer. I knew nothing else about being a lawyer but that. But as reality began to check in 6 years later, as I'm graduating from high school, my mom says, we don't have money for that. And I say this because you cannot be deterred by what people say to you. There can be comments that you may even hear in your environment, even your professional environment, and they may seem negative or they may seem like comments that are to bring you down, tear you down. You can't allow those things to happen. You've got to persevere. You got to keep moving. So I worked as a maid at a Ramada Inn on Brook Park Road in Cleveland, made some beds, cleaned some toilets. We were on quarters at that time. And so I would save some money so that I could go for a couple of quarters. and then I had to drop out and then started over again. I worked for UPS, stacking trucks, making walls in those trucks to make sure the packages don't move. I think I could still do that today, but that was one of them. Worked as a cashier at a predecessor of Macy's. It was called May Company. Whatever I can do to pay for the education that I couldn't afford, that's what I did. It took me 7 years to obtain my bachelor's degree. And I say that because, again, I often say, can't stop, won't stop until you get it done. And you may find yourself in situations, whether it's you're working in a law office and there's a huge project that you're working on, and you get overwhelmed by the weight of everything that's taking place. Just say to yourself, can't stop, won't stop until I get it done, irrespective of the challenges and the things that you may have to endure in the process. Following that, I taught for 20 years, and then I was involved as a teacher in a program that actually got me into a program at the law school. And once I was there, I was like, yeah, this is where I'm supposed to be. So I taught full time and attended law school at night, 4 nights a week. Came home, graded papers, prepared for my family, went to bed at 3 o'clock in the morning, got back up at 6, and did it all over again. And I did that for 3.5 years. Again, perseverance. When we look at the fact that today there are over 700 judges in the state of Ohio, only 51 are minority. Over 700 judges. And you may find even in your particular area, as you look around and you see in terms of maybe it's mostly women, and you may find that there's not a lot of minority representation as well, then that means that you have responsibilities. You have responsibilities to recruit people. You have responsibilities to bring people in. Let them know about the job you have. Let them know about how important that position is. Let them know what they have to do in order to get there. But if you've been there, you can show them that because you did, they can too. I tell people all the time, there's nothing special about me. Nothing special at all. Hard worker, yes. Perseverance, yes. Determination, yes. A desire, yes. And that can be for anything and anyone across the board. When I looked at, so that's why I backpedaled to see how did I get in this position today that someone would ask me to present to you. People then asked me to run for judge. I ran unsuccessfully in a suburban community of Cleveland back in 2014, actually 2015. And I lost in a 4-way race by 3,000 votes, came in second. And then people asked me to run county. And let me tell you something. Those 13 communities that feed into Bedford Court were nothing compared to Cuyahoga County, which has 59 communities, villages, townships, cities, 59, east side, west side, 59 communities. For those who may know, the greater Cleveland area goes from Bay Village and Rocky River way on the west side, all the way to the southeast side to Bentleyville and Solon, and then back north side to Euclid. It's a huge community. And when you run for judge, you have to run. And you have to put in a lot of time and a lot of energy. Not much different from what you do in your daily jobs. Not much different from the sacrifices that you've had to make to get to where you are is also incumbent upon becoming a judge. So in 2018, in the primary, I had 5 opponents. People said, you can't win. You've got too many people in this race. And people have probably shared with you, there's some project that you can't do. There's too many pieces and parts. It's too much work here, it's too much work there. Maybe even in going through the process to get where you are. But you persevered and you here. And in that 6-way race, I garnered 37% of the vote. The closest person to me was 18,000 votes behind. And again, I say perseverance, determination, desire, irrespective of what people say. In that fall, you've heard the results. I won by 70% of the vote. I was asked to run again in 2022, and I did. And again, I won with 69% of the vote. And so I'm here. I'm one of 34 judges that sit on this bench. Out of 34, only 4 are minority. We hear civil cases and criminal cases. I see individuals in your capacity working on both sides, and your jobs are very instrumental in helping things come together. Let me tell you what I see. When I have a medical malpractice case, I see individuals like yourselves in your profession who have helped put that case together. You have the ability to do some things that lawyers used to do, and they don't have to spend their time on those things. They can spend their time on more billable hours to have more money so they can pay you more and utilize you more. And that makes it all better for everyone. Many successful practices are successful because individuals like yourselves are employed in those areas, and you help to put on the finishing touches. You help to make it all come together. You may be the person who actually reads the expert opinion and then talks to the attorneys in that matter to brief them with regards to how is this expert opinion going to help us in this medical malpractice case. There are a lot of things that you do that help the lawyers both outside of the courtroom, and I see it inside the courtroom. Never let anyone tell you that you are obsolete, because you are not. One of the things that I found with regards to individuals that work in your capacity as well is that what I have experienced is they have excellent writing skills. I've had individuals in my chambers in your capacity when I have a final pretrial, when we have a medical malpractice case or an accident case. We have what's called a final pretrial. At the final pretrial, that's when I sit in the room that you see I'm in now, which is my chambers, with the lawyers and the paralegals at the table. And the most important thing I say is for a lawyer, they must know the case. And I know paralegals, I've seen paralegals who have prepared them for the meeting with the judge to show the judge, we know the case. Because the most detrimental thing to you as a lawyer is to not know your case inside and out. So I've had paralegals in my chambers here who have shown me what they have outlined as relates to the case, and the lawyers rely on that information. And so when you've got good writing skills, you've got good research skills, and you've got good communication skills, that works. Because more times than not, the lawyer is in the courtroom and doing all those things they need to do there. And if they're very, very busy, they need someone who's talking to the client. Communication skills are essential. And that's where you come in as well. If you're working in a law firm, they can depend on you to stay in contact with the client. A happy client is one that hears from the lawyer's office. People get disgruntled when they don't hear from the lawyers. I also serve as one of the 27 commissioners on the Ohio Board of Professional Conduct. That is the board that holds lawyers and judges accountable for unethical conduct. You would not believe how many lawyers find themselves with a bar complaint because they failed to stay in contact with the client. Paralegals can also help with case management. And there's different things that you know with regards to technology and utilizing of technology can help with regards to staying on track with regards to your cases. You'd be surprised at the number of lawyers who have a bar complaint because they were not where they were supposed to be when they needed to be, and or if they didn't file something in a timely manner and they missed a deadline. Individuals in your capacity helped to make sure that those T's get crossed and those I's get dotted. And I say that you are indispensable to what I see as a view from the bench. Additionally, what I find is that I see individuals in your capacity holding up the legal profession. I see you as being as part of the nuts and bolts that keep everything together. And any law firm that employs any one of you definitely has done themselves a benefit by doing so and understanding the benefit that you can bring overall to the group. You have responsibilities, and with regards to those responsibilities, you are strengthening the entire area. One of the things that I've seen recently, and individuals in your positions have begun to question how valuable you'll be going forward, is, we're using a lot of AI. And some are saying, well, with AI, are we going to be able to still sustain the number of paralegals that we have in our community, or are we going to be, is there going to be more outsourcing and you not have the jobs that you have today available? I've looked at some of those issues, and I don't think that that's going to be as much of an issue as some people may think now. But you've got to be prepared, prepare yourselves for how you can make sure that individuals see your assets and what you have to offer that AI cannot provide. I do see that as something that needs to be reviewed. I think AI can help the work of paralegals, but I do not believe that it's going to replace paralegals. In the courtroom, I've seen paralegals also help doing a court trial. They can assist with regards to, and sometimes I'm telling you, these medical malpractice cases, when these lawyers come into the courtroom, they have 15, 20 boxes of documents. And I've seen paralegals in the courtroom helping to utilize those documents in the proper fashion, so that expedites the process and keeps the trials moving. Indispensable, I found them doing trials. Even in criminal trials, I've found paralegals to be helpful. I found some who work, we do a lot of technology these days. I see some who also help with the technology. I have a huge Mondo pad in my courtroom, and they help utilizing that, whether it's exhibits to be placed on the screen. We do less of paper documents, exchanging paper documents, even approaching a witness with paper documents. We'll put it up on the screen and publish it and kind of proceed that way. And a paralegal is the one who's responsible for putting everything up so that you can share the screens and proceed in that manner. As I say, indispensable. We do more in terms of technology today than we used to. I think the pandemic really kind of pushed that forward as well. We're doing a Zoom platform. I didn't have to travel someplace. You didn't have to travel someplace. I'm in the comfort of my chambers here in Cleveland, Ohio, and you are in your various locales as well throughout the state and otherwise. So I think technology has come into place a lot, and I find paralegals helping to utilize or helping the overall process with regards to utilizing that technology, which helps all of us as well. When I think of paralegals, I think, as I've indicated, of the necessity of having paralegals, because when I have over, of the 34 judges on my bench, we average over 500 cases. And people will tend to think that most of those are criminal cases. In fact, they are not. My civil docket is larger than my criminal docket. Of my 500 cases, I probably have about 280 civil matters, which vary. They could be a foreclosure, they could be medical malpractice, they could be car accidents, it could be a variety of issues that we have, but my civil docket outweighs my criminal docket. What I say to you in terms of your profession is that it looks like it's good going forward. It looks like it could be even more booming going forward. As I was doing some research, I was surprised to find that it said that the average paralegal was 45 years old. I don't know if that pans out with regards to the groups that you know or part of your organization or association, but I was surprised to find in my research 45 years old. So that means that we've got to really do some more with regards to encouraging young people that this is an area that they can find good employment in. It is an area that is very much needed, that they are worthy, and that they can participate in programs in Ohio and elsewhere in becoming a paralegal. Any questions or comments at this time?
I have a question, Judge.
Yes.
So you mentioned that 51 out of 700 judges in Ohio are minorities. And 4 of 34 judges is at Cuyahoga County are minority.
Say this again.
4 out of 34 judges in Cuyahoga County are minorities.
Now that's the common pleas bench. Okay. With that 4 out of 34, that's the common pleas bench. That is not taking into consideration the municipal bench. Yes, there are 34 common pleas judges. We handle the serious cases, rape, murder, kidnapping. We are the ones who have the authority to give someone the death penalty, life in prison on the serious cases, take your liberty significantly, take your children from you. And on the civil side, we have the cases, the kind of cases that I've talked about with regards to medical malpractice and so forth. So that's the common pleas judges. So in Cuyahoga County, we have 34, just to show you how large we are in Cuyahoga County is. We are the largest common pleas bench in the state of Ohio. Franklin County has 17, and I believe Hamilton County has 12, but we are the largest. They call us the state of Cuyahoga.
So my question is, and I'm sure you've answered this numerous times, but we have so few minorities in leadership positions like yourself. So what, in your opinion, is the way ahead? How do we make that change and even it out more?
Well, one of the things is, and I'm glad you asked that question. About 3 years ago, there are 2 judges in this area who started an organization, and it's called the Ohio Black Judges Association. It was started 3 years ago. And one of the goals of that organization is to make sure that people know that, number one, there is a need for minority judges, And number two, to encourage individuals to do what they can to increase those numbers. You know, what's interesting is this court that I serve on started in 1850. I am only the 5th African-American female to be elected to this bench. And when I was reelected to a different seat a year ago, well, almost 2 years ago, that made me the 6th. So I'm the 5th and the 6th individual African-American female. And the numbers for males is not much better. It's about 6 or 7 as well. Currently, we have 3 females and 1 male of the 4 that we've just described. One of the things that people have to understand is that it's hard to run for judge because they're elected positions. It costs money, it costs time, and it costs a lot of money. In a contested race in Cuyahoga County, you're probably talking $150,000 minimum. And that's your money. You've got to have some money because when you've got a race like I had with 6 in a primary, people don't know who to give to. And so they're going to be very reluctant to give to anyone because it's also political. And they're like, I don't know who's going to win. So they may decide, well, I'm going to give everybody $100 and that's it. Or I'm going to give everyone $50, but they're not going to give anyone the $600 maximum, which means you have to have some of your own money in order to move forward. And a lot of people, especially younger people, just don't have it. They haven't been established in their careers yet. They don't have connections that you need in order to move forward. So it becomes very difficult. So what we're trying to do as the association, I am a member of the Ohio Black Judges Association, is to get the word out and let people know that you too can do these things and give you some mentors to help you move forward with regards to those desires. As a matter of fact, Tuesday, we had our first Civics Day. Our first Civics Day, I don't know what happened to my picture. We had our first Civics Day, and that was all over the state of Ohio. And Columbus had 10 schools. Cincinnati had 5 schools. Dayton had a school. Akron had a school. So we showed up in robes. And when we showed up in robes, we then engaged the young people. And we walked in our robes. Oftentimes, young people don't see judges in robes unless they're actually in their courtroom. But to inspire them, to encourage them that they too can wind up in a position like this. And the time is now to begin to start thinking about what you want to do, how you want to do it, and grab hold to someone's hand who's willing to kind of help lead you in that direction. But it's expensive to run. It's very, very expensive to run. And I think that's an impediment for a lot of people.
Well, thank you, Judge. I appreciate that. And there's so few of you that it's hard to spread you around and make sure that you get to see those kids and they get to see someone who looks like them. Right. So,
well, you know, at least a part
so
of what
hard.
I indicated, what helped me
Mhm.
was I saw someone that looked like me to help my family. And
Yeah,
that said,
yeah.
I want to do that. I didn't even know what all that was, but I knew I wanted to do it.
You were 12. Yes, ma'am. Thank you so
Anyone-
much.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Your Honor, my name's Christine, and I just want to thank you for taking time out of your day. You are quite the inspiration to, I think, everyone, no matter what your race is or what your goals in life are. I'm inspired by you. Your speech was just wonderful. I was stuck to my seat here waiting for the next accomplishment you've done in your life. Thank you again so much. I mean, I could sit and listen to you all day. But you truly, truly have come a long way in life. And starting from, as soon as you said divorced mother, with the children, I mean, that right there stops you because you just think of, oh no, you hear a lot of the stories. So, your mother had it very hard. And to raise children on her own like that. And clearly, she did a wonderful job. I congratulate you, and you should be very proud with how far you've come. I can't thank you enough for taking your time out and sharing your story. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. I am humbled by that. I truly am. And you're right, my mom did struggle to raise my sister and I. And my mom and my sister passed a year apart on the same day. My sister passed September 27, 2016, and my mom passed September 27, 2017. A
My
year to the day.
condolences, Your Honor. I'm sure that had to be difficult as well.
It was, as a matter of fact, that's how I'm related to Patrice. Patrice's sister-in-law is my sister's daughter. My sister had one child, and that's Patrice's sister-in-law. She's married to Patrice's brother. And so that's how we're related. But she knew my mom well as well as my sister as well. So yeah, it's difficult, but I think it also shows that we all have challenges in life. And that's why I say, can't stop, won't stop until you get it done. But thank you so much. Anyone else? Questions?
Hi, Your Honor. My name is Brooke. I'm a paralegal here in Franklin County. I was born and raised here, went to Columbus Public Schools. My lens is a little different. I do see other perspectives just based on my growing up. I've been a certified paralegal since 1996. I have my bachelor's in business management with a minor in accounting. And I stopped there because it was just a lot of responsibility. So as you've progressed in your career, and others could probably chime in, I believe that age that you referred to is probably correct. But at some point, once you hit over 50, in this industry, it's very easy to get burnt out. I started this industry in a general practice. I've done everything from civil, criminal, probate, creditors' rights and bankruptcy, foreclosures, workers' comp, probate. So what, and your attitude of your saying is absolutely spot on, but sometimes those affirmations don't always help you. So what do you do when you feel in this industry you're burnout? Because, a lot of people are doing more with less. Paralegals we're jumping from, civil rules to bankruptcy rules to workers' comp rules because we're trying to fill those gaps within the law firms that have been impacted by things such as COVID. So what is your suggestion to us as to how you don't get so burnt out? Because obviously you are going a lot, full steam, at work, at home, in business development and reaching out to people and getting involved in your community. What would you suggest for the rest of us?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for your comments. And I'm glad you led off with my lens is different. I often use that. I say that my lens is different because of all of the experiences that I've had and that I bring to this forum. I'm going to ask if someone can guess my age.
Younger than me, and I'm hitting 50.
Anyone else? Take a shot.
We're all women. That's a trick question.
On
40.
September the 3rd, I loaded 70.
Oh,
No
No.
way.
You look incredible.
No way.
Awesome.
Well, I hope I
And-
looked that good when I had 70.
And
I did
Judge,
not-
there is a comment in the chat. Stacy McKenna guessed that you were 25.
I saw some 25 pop up and I'm like, oh, no. I have a son who's Down syndrome and he will turn 48 on the 27th of April. And my oldest daughter is 51. And I've been married for 52 years to my high school sweetheart. And I say all that. I say all that because when you start talking about the journey and the challenges, I did not become a common pleas judge till I was 64 years old. I didn't start law school till I was 39 years old. And I had 4 children with a son with disabilities, with challenges. And so I know that there's a lot of challenges. And I know that sometimes it gets a little, kind of depressing when you look at what the opportunities are. And as you've indicated, you've had to switch from this to switch to that, to try to fill in the gaps, to make sure that you're still viewed as indispensable, you're still viewed as worthy, you're still viewed as something that's needed. I get that. But I think that you have to look at your inner strength, and you have to sit down and you have to evaluate where you are and what you want to do. And then you have to decide what path it is that you want to take, even though it may be a struggle, it may be difficult, it may be challenging, and to decide what rewards do you see on the other side that would therefore benefit you if you continue down that path. And sometimes you may very well come to that and say, you know what, this is no longer for me and I'm going to try something else. Sometimes you may have to do that. Remember, although I wanted to be a lawyer at age 12, when I finished my undergraduate work, I still couldn't afford law school. So I taught, and I taught for 20 years. And in order to make that transition from teaching to law, that was a great sacrifice as well, because I gave up tenure, a lifetime job, to float into something that I didn't know how it was going to pan out. Do you think I saw myself at 64 years old as a judge on the Court of Common Pleas? Absolutely not. Didn't see it. And so you never know what's in front of you. You never know what's before you. And sometimes you've got to take a chance and you bet on yourself. You've got to bet on yourself in order to keep moving. And I will say I am a faith-based person. And so I do rely on my faith as well. And I believe that there's a purpose and a plan for everyone. And sometimes we have to try to finagle and as we're navigating the waters to find out what that purpose and that plan is. But I do believe that it will come to full fruition. And I don't know
So
if
you drew.
Thank you.
Sorry. So Judge, you drew Social Security first before you became a judge, huh?
No, no, absolutely not. As a matter of fact, personal issue, I got a little depressed this past summer. I was at a conference and individuals were talking and they were saying, well, 70 is the latest date or time period to draw Social Security. And I was in Minneapolis at a conference and I went to my room and I was like, I'll be 70 in September. I've got to apply for Social Security. And I thought about it and I thought about it. And so I made that call and the guy said, well, you've missed out, because full retirement was 3 years ago at 67. So you've missed these years with regards to Social Security. And I didn't even think about it. So yes, officially I went on Social Security in October, I think it was October or November. But no, no,
Bigger chunk though.
no,
Congrats, Judge.
not really, because they have something in Ohio that's called, well, not Ohio. There's federal called the windfall elimination. So if you have a state retirement, you don't get full Social Security. They offset it. It's federal law that went into effect under Reagan. It's called the Windfall Elimination Act. Yeah. Anyone else?
Judge, I have one quick follow-up. Now that you've done all these things in your life, is this it? Will this be your last career? Are you going to do anything else just to?
Well, I was, judicial terms are 6 years.
Yes,
And I ran almost 2 years ago. Because that's the other thing. In the state of Ohio, you cannot take an oath as a judge once you turn 70 years old.
Oh,
So my original term would have ended this year in 2024. And because I turned 70 in September, I would not have been eligible to run. And so people
Mhm.
encouraged me to run 2 years ago before I turned 70. And so I did, and I won, and I got a new term. So I left that seat and took on a new seat to get a full
Mhm.
6 years. So with that, that means so long as I maintain my mental acuity
Mm-hmm.
and my physical health, I will
Mm-hmm.
be 75 when I leave this position. And at that point, I will have 50 years of public service. And I think I'm going to stick a fork in it and I'm going
You're
to say it's
done.
done.
Well, God bless you. Thank you very much for your service. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Anyone else? Are we good?
I don't
Well,
know, Judge. I'm sorry, one
that's
more.
okay.
What's the case that made you the happiest? Is there such a case?
Maybe the question is better, what had the most impact on you?
Okay.
Well, I'm going to say as a judge in the place that I am, I'm always impacted by individuals who, if I place them on probation, they do well when they're given a second chance. As a matter of fact, I had this is very recent. I had a young man that I put on probation, I don't know, maybe back in October. And when I placed them on probation, I have them come back several months later so I can check up on them to see how they're doing. I call it holding your feet to the fire. Don't get burned. So this young man, when he was sentenced, he had on a nice suit and so forth, and I put him on probation. I brought him back last month, and his probation officer was just talking about him in glowing terms. Oh, he's doing so well. He's done this, he's done that, whatever. And he was dressed in a suit again. And I commented on how he presented himself. And I said, oh, you're doing marvelous. He said, I remembered what you said when I was here when you sentenced me. He said, you told me that the windshield in front of me is wide and bright, and the rearview mirror is small for a reason. Look back to remind yourself of where you've been, but don't look in the mirror, the rearview mirror, to see your future. And I turned to my bailiff and I said, they're really listening. Coincidentally, last evening, my husband and I went out for dinner. We're at Outback and we're eating. And I'm going to tell you, it was a little awkward because this gentleman comes up and he says, hi. He said, I recognized you when you walked in. You're my judge. Well, first of all, you don't know where that's going. All right. Because that could go left very, very quickly. So, I said, okay. I said, and your name is? And he gave me his name. And he said, because you're Judge Turner. Okay. He said, okay, I hope you enjoy your dinner. Now, he was a server. All right. So you're looking at this like, I hope he's not preparing my meal, because you may have an extra sauce that you had counted on. So I text my bailiff and I said to my bailiff this gentleman's name, and I just encountered him in the restaurant. And he said to me, does he have long hair? And I responded, yes. And then it came to me, that was that same young man who I just had in court a month ago, and he's doing very well. So this morning when I got up, I was smiling because he was okay with letting me know in his place of employment as to who he was, and we had a connection. And that tells me again that he's doing much better and he's moving forward in his life and trying to overcome the hurdles that he's created in his life as it relates to why he came to court in the first place. So I would say and that just happened. I was impacted by that because it says that you can make a a difference in the lives of people, which help us to also make a difference in our community as a whole. As a whole, I've had some bad cases, but you know that was impactful for me, and that just happened last evening and this morning.
Thank you, Judge. That was a positive, you're my judge.
He did.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice.
Anyone else?
So since you mentioned such a positive outcome, can we look the other direction? And do you care to share any perspectives you might have on what some of us might call the demise of civility? Are you seeing, what's the state of civility that you're seeing in the courtroom?
So now I'm glad you brought that up, because you know you can have lawyers get very contentious, and one thing that I absolutely let them know, I'm not having that. I recently had a medical malpractice case, and it was very emotional. As a matter of fact, I thought that we were going to have enough tears in that courtroom to all row out of there in a rowboat from juror number one, because it was a very sad case. It was a stillborn case. And of course, this young couple believed that the doctor had breached the standard of care, and that's why their child was born, stillborn. And it was very contentious, but I'm going to tell you, those lawyers were awesome. And what I try to impart to lawyers is, one of the things you have to understand is that this is one case, and you're going to see each other again. And so therefore you have to think about what happens after this case versus entrenching yourself in just this case for this week, this 2 weeks, this 3 weeks, or whatever it may be, because there's a life after this case. So I have had, in my 6 years on the bench, there was one case that I can remember that was very contentious. And at one point I had to pull everybody aside, and they were all gentlemen. See, it wasn't ladies, it was all gentlemen. And I had to say, almost like, boys, we are not going to be boys, and I will not tolerate what is happening. I remember the witness, who was the owner of a company. At one point, he and the attorney were just going back and forth, and it was so contentious. I finally turned to him and I said, Mr. So-and-so, you say you're the CEO of your company? Guess who's the CEO here? And he said, you are, Your Honor. I said, I am. And the way that you're presenting yourself is not going to go any further in here. Do you understand? And he said, absolutely. And that cut it completely. And so I think that how you engage the parties as well can be helpful, and what you let them know what you will tolerate and what you will not tolerate is helpful to allow things to progress in a manner in which is acceptable to you and can be acceptable to the general public. I think it stops with the judge. I think it starts with the judge. I think the judge has to set the tone for how things are going to move forward in this particular courtroom. And so I have not had that problem. That was like my second year on the bench, and I have not had an issue since then.
Good.
Mm-hmm. Have you experienced something different? Now, are you in Franklin County?
Yes.
Okay.
And it was simply out of curiosity. I mean, you know, you hear about the need to maintain civility, and you know, I've seen in some cases where, especially on social media, from a personal perspective, oh my goodness, people are willing to say anything behind the keyboard, and you wonder, would they speak that way to you in person? And it made me wonder, is that spilling over into the professional realm, or are we lucky enough that that is locked down in the world of social media?
You know, I have not experienced it in the courtroom. Oh, thank you, Miss Lewis. I have not experienced, that has not been my experience in the courtroom. And this is my 6th year on the bench. But again, I think that the tone is set by the judge. And the judge delivers to everyone else what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. And sometimes you've got to hold some people by the collar.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else?
Well,
Anything
we
else?
have about 4 minutes. Does anybody have any further questions, comments, perspectives? Okay, hearing none, I will say that we appear to be finished for the day. Judge Turner, I want to thank you so much for sharing your time with us and your experiences. This was truly inspiring. So glad to have had you today. I know that everybody really enjoyed this time. So thank you
It was
very
my honor and
much.
My privilege. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And you keep doing what you do, all right? And doing a great job at it. Thank you.
That's right. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for being with us for this hour. Check the website for upcoming sessions. I know Judge Turner alluded to this at the beginning of her at the beginning of her talk. You know, March is International Women's Month. And to that end, our Legal Insight session in March is going to feature 3 ladies that will be joining us. Let's see if I can remember off the top of my head their names. Nova Smith, Nita Hansen, and Teresa Hardiman. These three ladies are going to join us for a roundtable type discussion. And what they have in common is that they are all 3 attorneys, and they all 3 began their career as paralegals. So it will be interesting to hear their perspectives and about their career journeys and the challenges and difficulties that they've had as they progressed from one to another, and how they've overcome those challenges and what advice they have for us going into the future. So we hope you'll join us then. And with that, I will tell you to have a great rest of your day. And thank you again for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Christine.
Great
We're
Thank
very
you.
glad to have you. And we plan to be having, we try to have a very good mix of topics that we bring, and we're going to be starting in the fall, probably because of the way our schedule's already established. We're going to be bringing more practice area specific topics,
I
so
loved
that
her. She was amazing. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Yeah.
You know, I had some stuff going on, so I had a drop from co-chair over at the Ohio State Bar.
right.
But I'm glad I joined PACO. Still member over there as well.
Yeah.
Just had to step down from the position, but the judge was so interesting.
Yes.
Loved it. Very much looking forward to everything that PACO has to offer as well. So
Well,
thank
good.
you for accepting me.
Oh, we're glad to have you on board. You have a great day. I've got to jump
Thank-
to another meeting, so I don't
Thank
want
you so
to.
much.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay.